Right, today we're going to look a little bit more at color grading, color changing, and basically we're going to go through three main ways of doing it. It's not every way, but it's a good time to just introduce some of the techniques you can use. So the first one we're going to do is using white balance. So I've already done it here, but we'll go through it. So as you can see, we can warm things up or cool things down or um, change the oh, there we go, change the tint as well. So you've got the tint and the balance both in this option here. So what I'm going to do is let's just delete these two and start fresh. So this is just a stock image. Um, and I think I showed that last week. So you can just type in countryside, mountains, whatever you want to watch, and it will give you a selection of photos. So what we're going to look at, obviously, this is all about layers. There's one called, if I click on here, underneath level, there's an option called white balance. And if I click on that, it will pull up the white balance uh, uh, dialog. Let me just get that all on the screen. Now from here, obviously the white balance, particularly if you've created used a raw file, you might have had your white balance set wrong in the camera when you took it. Now, if it's a JPEG, that will be baked in, but it doesn't really affect a raw file. So you can play with the white balance after taking the photo. So uh, generally, photographers who are shooting in RAW don't worry quite so much about the white balance because it can be adjusted in post. It's not to say that you shouldn't, but because you might get a better idea through the JPEGs on the back of the screen, etc. But it's not necessary. So we've got this simple image here. And what we first thing with the white balance, we can either what generally called blue, go towards the blue, cool it down, and as we move it across, it will go more blue. It will feel colder, and the alternative is to warm the image up right up until the top there. So you're increasing the yellows and oranges, etc., within the photo. You can also change the tint. Particularly, you can get some, depending on the lighting, you can get like some magenta tinting in your photo. If it's like that, you might want to pull it back or move it more into the green. So doesn't really affect this photo too much, but you have that ability. Now, what I wanted to do was start introducing picking areas. So what I'm going to do, obviously I can warm up everything, but that's making the sky a little bit yellow as well, and I might not actually want that. I'm going to delete this, and what we're going to do is split this photo in two. One area for one adjustment for the sky, one adjustment for the ground. So we're going to move over here, and we've got this selection brush. So if we pick on that, and simply if I just run it over the sky, you'll see it selected it. Um, Now it does depend on the size of the brush. Try and you've got three items up here as well, so I can deselect, just get rid of it all. If I make the brush much smaller, you'll see it's just I have to be more precise over picking. So if you've got like a whole sky, make your brush big, and it will just pick it. much more easily. So what I want to do is apply um, the white balance to the sky. Oops, I didn't mean to do that. Control Z. I meant to hit adjustment, white balance. And the sky I'd like to uh, move more into the blue, cool it down a little bit. So I'll do that, um, come out of here. And what you can see is only applied it to within the marching ants. So what I can do now is go back to the image here. Um, there's a invert. And if I click invert, it's literally reversed the selection. So now it's selected everything but the sky. So now I've got that. If I now um, apply another adjustment, another white balance adjustment, I can now adjust this just for the land portion. And we can just pull that up, not too far, but we can warm it up. So it feels more like a desert scene with a clear blue sky. So that's way to do that. So I would recommend certainly when you're adding several filters of the same type or same adjustments, would be just to give them a name. Just so that when you come back to it later, it's more obvious what ones you've got. So if I remove the marching ants, I can do deselect up here at the top. If I hold the shift key down, I can select both at the same time, and I can turn that off and turn that back on again. So you can see a very simple adjustment, but very effective. So it's quite useful that. So that's just using white balance. Um, what we're going to look at now is HSL, but we're just going to look at one bit of it. It's quite an interesting tool. And for instance, what we can do here, you've got a blue car. If I turn that on, I've got a green car. So that's what we can do to this, and you can see the rest of the photo's not changing. Okay, so what we do the same again. We'll delete that, and we've just got our basic car. So we come in here, and it's the next one down, third from the top, HSL. Now, if I haven't selected anything, so it's going to affect the entire image. But what you can do is you can change the hue itself, so you can change everything. You can see the background changing as well. So it's how useful that is, probably not. Maybe slight adjustments um, on without doing it specifically for an area. You've got, so that's the hue change, and then you've got the saturation. So you can boost saturation, and you can remove, basically bring it all the way down, and it's black and white. Tends not, I wouldn't use this for black and white because it generally turns out fairly flat. There is a separate adjustment tool for black and white, and I would use that, and we'll do that another day. And finally, you've got luminosity, so you can make things darker. It's fairly straightforward, all the way to black, or you can lighten things up all the way up to pure white. So you've got some basic adjustments you can make here. Oh, all right, just let's put that back. So if you're just looking for just increasing the general saturation, you would use this, and you would just come in and notch it up a little bit. Um, and that's just nicer. It's a bit more colourful. Or you might do the opposite. Say if countryside thing and the grasses are too green, it looks a little bit false. you could pull it back a little bit. So that's just using it generally. Let's delete that. What we're going to do this now is just do the car itself. So we want to leave everything behind. So we're going to use our selection tool again. I'm going to make it a little bit smaller, and I'm just going to run it around the car. You can see it's, I need to make it smaller to come into other areas, and then come down down here and across. And we need this area here, this area down here. Probably too much. So what I've selected here, it's gone way over. So you got the option to up the top here, add, which is the default, and you've got subtract. But a much easier way is you just hold the Alt key down when you're picking, and if I hold it down, it will jump back. It will take away what you've selected. So you can be very precise about that. And again, I'll reduce the size and just join these two areas up. Just run that over a little bit. Okay. They don't need to be joined, but you could just join those two. Leave the headlight out. Here it's gone too far. Again, hold the Alt key down, and I can bring that back in. Okay, and same with the door here. Just add a little bit more. Make sure you pick everything. Alt, take it off the... For what we're doing, it probably doesn't matter because it won't affect it adversely. Let's just quickly select that and then do an Alt, remove that bit, go around here. You don't want to change that. And just run over the roof. Again, it probably doesn't matter too much. This has got so much light on it that you can't see the colour very well. And remove this section here. There we go. So when we change the colour, because it's nearly white, it probably won't make an awful lot of difference. And don't forget, you can zoom in, just make it smaller, just make it, I'll probably do. Okay, that's a rough selection for the car. So, oh, a little bit too much over here. So increase the brush size again. Alt, and just take that back out. There we go. I'm going to deliberately leave that like that. Okay, so we now got our selection. So now if we run the HSL tool, what we can do is limit it to just the blues. So when I did it last time, we just had, it was set on this multicolour wheel button here. What I can do is say, I'm only interested in the range of colours in blue. And what you can do is, now when I adjust, you can see the car changing colour. But what you can also do is, this is like the range of colour. You can tighten it in, so I can bring those edges in. If like the blue colour was bleeding out, you can make it more precise. Okay, so that's what you can do with these. So these are the two definitely in this range, and then these two outer dots are fading out. That's like a fade out area, and you can just play around with that. So what color do we want? Make it that horrible green. Yeah, green will do. Okay, so we got that. Take that away, You can see our little image there. Let's get rid of the marching ants. And what I've done is I've missed some bits. There's a couple of ways. This first technique I'll just show you is um, I can just click on the mask itself, and rather than trying to pick things up again, I can just use the paintbrush. So um, basically, white is applied to. So if I pick the paintbrush and if I just do that's removing it, and then if I click on, oh, yeah, that's better. Yeah. So I'm now painting the mask. So I'm now including um, this in the image. And because it's limited to blue, I can be fairly liberal with the way I'm painting. Let's make that a little bit bigger and just run that around. So you can quickly repair your selection. There we go. Let's do that. I don't really, because it's black down there, it's not showing anything. And the same here, it wasn't quite right here. Okay, so now we've got a green car. So that's quite a nice way of adjusting colours. Um, where would you use it? You might use it in countryside photo with somebody not wearing a red jacket and you'd like them to wear a red jacket. So where your where your wife wouldn't have that colour of jacket, you can tell her to go and take a photo, and then you can change it afterwards and just change that one item. So that's a use of HSL, but with and without masks. Another useful thing is you can see the actual icon here, the thumbnail. If I double click it, it zooms the picture to where that item is. And then if I hold the Alt key down and double click it, it'll actually show you the mask in big. So and you could paint directly onto this if you wanted to. But I prefer seeing the image underneath. To get rid of that, just click on anywhere else. So I'll click here. And another very useful thing is this is a mask here, and you might be wanting to do something else. You've already selected the car, you don't want to select it again. So if you hold the control key down and double click the uh, adjustment mask, they'll come back. So then you can come down, you can say, okay, let's do something else. Let's change the levels. And what we'll do is we'll darken everything and make it a little bit more. No, let's just darken it. So we can do things to it. And again, it's only being applied to the car, but we've only had to select it once. We don't have to keep selecting it. There is another means of you can actually save this to a channel, but we'll cover that a little bit more in depth. But just know that you can, if any selection you've used for a particular adjustment, you can get that selection back and use it for something else. And again, I can now I've used it, I can just deselect it and make it go away. So there we go. So that's the levels adjustment, and that's the color adjustment. Right. Moving on. We're going to look at gradient maps. So in the menu, you've got gradient map down here. There are other color options, but we're not going to cover them all. This will be the last one for tonight. I think 3's enough to try and master at one go. Um, so this one, um, let's do that one first. So we got a city type scene, and what's a good way of that? Let's um, let's delete. Oh, I'll show you what I've done. I've done that. I've given it a much more orange, um, uh, end of evening glow to it. So this is an interesting. If I delete that, an interesting modification. So if we come in here and try and explain it, um, there we go, gradient map. Okay, looks horrible. Looks absolutely horrible. And the reason for this is that this is just like a default. And it's saying anything you think this slider along here, that's black. The right hand side is white, and that's everything in between. So they're your dark colors, your highlights, and your mid-tones in the middle. And that's exactly what it's done to that photo. It's drawn any, it's covered anything that's dark as a red, anything that's a mid-tone as a green, and anything that is light as a blue, and merging between them. Now you wouldn't actually use that. But what you can do is change colours. So one of the classics that's used quite a lot in sci-fi and dystopian movies is a teal and orange effect. Um, it's quite often used. Now, if you want to pick a particular colour set, the way I've done that before is um, if we just open a web browser. Why is that not opening? There we go. Get rid of that. Let's do a new one. Okay, and if I do teal, oh, teal, I did search it the other day, teal and orange. And as it's, yeah, here it says teal and orange, a popular color pairing, complementary. This is the type of thing you can do. So there's a little swatch down here that we'll use. So rather than I can do it two ways. So I can say, okay, I want to change this. I don't want it to be red. I'll click here and I can adjust it manually. Okay. I can do it that way, or oh, wrong menu. If I just move that down here so I can pick it whilst in the image. So again, I can pick this, but if I've got a known color I want to use, I can use a little color picker. So I grab that and just drag it down, and I can copy it from that image. And you see it adjust. Let me do that again. Let's do something horrible. Come down, pick, and you can see it's updated the sliders for you. Um, I won't bother with the middle one because I just want two. I want it in the dark areas a more teal color, and in the lighter areas I want a more orange tint, a warmer color. So basically, you're almost making the darkers cooler and the lighter areas warmer. So if I click on that little dot, click on the color, pick the picker, and I'll pick an orange. Now, straight away, you'll say to me, yeah, but that's horrible. And that's true. And what you need to do is two things. You can use a blend mode, which is what we're about to do. And then once you've picked the blend mode you like, you can change the opacity of that um, adjustment. So what we'll do is we'll come down here um, and we'll just run through. So multiply too much. Okay, linear burn too much. Um, lighten screen, yeah, not too bad. And you can just run down the various options here. Yeah, I quite like soft light. There's linear light. Yeah, I quite like soft light for this one, so I'll pick that. But it's too intense, so I'll just drop that down a bit. And then I can check what I've done by turning it on and off. So that's without, and that's with. So it's giving it, I hope, you're making it a more blue-orange tinge to it, and you can precisely control how much is applied. So you can play around with that. The nice thing is, what you can do is once you've done this and you're really happy, you can say, all right, I like this. You can actually save it. So you can say add preset, and I'm just going to call it um, Fred for want of a name. Hit OK. And what I've never really understood is why you haven't got an option to load a preset here, but you don't. So what you have to do, if I come out of here and if I delete, all right, if I delete that, there's another panel called adjustments. So if you go to window adjustment, if it hasn't already been turned on, and when you click on that, you get like these are all the pre-saved versions you can use, and you can use this. I don't personally don't use it very often, um, but you can. I think it might even start in this mode when you first get the software. But basically, it's a bunch of preset adjustments. So you can have white balance, and there's one already called warm and cool, and it will make that adjustment straight for you. So I can apply that, and you can see it's cooled it down a little bit. I'll delete, and if I use warm, it's done the opposite. It's added a little bit of warmth, and I'll delete that as well. So we'll go back to the one we're looking at the moment, which is gradient map. Let me just check I'm on the right layer. Oh, I've only got one, so that's fine. Um, and there it is. There's the one called Fred. And if I just click on it, it just applies it. And oh, it didn't say. Oh, it's brought that back. Oh, it didn't save that. Let's delete that. Yeah, that's what I was expecting. And it should remember the opacity and the blend mode that was applied. So you can apply that now to any of your images. Okay, so I've got one here called teal and orange. I created one. My version's a little bit darker. I've used linear burn instead. So that gives it almost like a dusky feel to the image. And again, it's up to you. You can make the adjustments afterwards. That's too dark, but you can bring it up and down and go, okay, this is more of a night shot. I want to pretend it's a night shot. So that's and obviously you can apply the default, which is not very nice. I'm not quite sure why they default to that. I guess it does show you what's going on. Let's go back um, and make that adjustment. Okay, that's applying a gradient map to like a cityscape. Um, we've got another one here. We'll go back to this image. And where before we used white balance on the road to make color changes, this time we're going to use the gradient map, and I've even got one called Dowded. This is sort of like, oh, that's not. Let's delete that. Go to layers. It's on background. That's okay. There we go. So you can give it the Tim Dowd effect. So we're making it warmer with a more of a brown yellow hue to it. And you can see it's been applied to the entire thing. So the sky in this case is making it a little bit more moody. So that's how you can apply once you've created your own ones. They're very easy to recall rather than playing around and adjusting. So, and would you, where some of the adjustments, you get this option to save a preset. So if it's something that you like applying um, in the certainly in PaintShop Pro, not Photoshop, well, both of them, in fact, uh, they do have presets that you can save yourself, or quite often you can buy them off people, or they're given away free from your favorite photography channel. Um, but they're very easy to make yourself. No doubt, if I looked on the Affinity site, they'll sell some presets, but I'm quite happy making them myself. Um, so again, you can do different things to it. That one's quite nice, but probably a bit harsh. If we drop that down a bit, so you can play around and change the mood of your photo, which is really nice to do. Right, and that's what I'm going to cover tonight. I think that's enough. That's introducing three new adjustments that you can play with. So go ahead and have a little play with that. Thank you very much for listening. I'll catch you next week. Thank you.